Hey, this is Nick with Ultimate Motorcycling, and today we just got done riding the 2017 Triumph Bonneville Bobber. And what we can say right now is that we're quite impressed. As many of you guys know, the Bobber is something that kind of came out of the early 20th century, post-war stuff, guys building their own performance machines because they needed to get out there and build the fastest things that they could at the time. Now Triumph has taken all of that heritage and run with it, but it's built with today's technology. So although they've kept a lot of the aesthetic charm that was present back then, they've really done a good job of relating back to the history of the Bobber, but still making it their own completely. So found at the heart of the 2017 Triumph Bonneville Bobber is the same 1200cc parallel twin engine that's become critically acclaimed since it was introduced earlier this year. Now, this engine, aside from a few differences, is incredibly similar to the one that's found in the Bonneville T120 and Thruxton. Of course, there are a couple key differences, mainly in how the power is delivered. So, of course, you're going to be getting a different fuel map, which is focused on delivering mid-range power. And we're seeing a different air intake system, a split air intake to accommodate the cage-style swing arm and suspension. Now, the power that you're going to find on the Bonneville Bobber is pretty much immaculate. Fuel delivery is near flawless, if not completely flawless. And as I mentioned before, they really focused on getting low end and mid range. So the bike pulls pretty much all the way through its rev line, all the way down from 1200 RPM, and you can go all the way up to the red line with no falter whatsoever. And that makes a great engine for someone that's a beginner rider so they can get used to the power band, as well as an advanced rider that can use the entire power band. Now, you're really going to be rewarded when you're short shifting in this thing. You're going to want to use that good mid-range. But overall, any type of rider can get on this bike and just really get into it. So the Bonneville Bobber makes about 77 horsepower and about 78 foot-pounds of torque. Now, you're really able to use all of that power, as I mentioned before. And although you're gonna be short shifting because you're really gonna be attacking that mid-range and low end, you can totally rev up this engine. So one of the standout aspects of the Bonneville Bobber is its suspension. Up front, we're gonna be seeing a 41mm KYB non-adjustable fork, and in the rear, you have a horizontally linked KYB single shock. Now, some readers and viewers might be upset that we're not dealing with fully adjustable suspension. However, in this department, they've done a fine job. You're gonna find suspension that's sprung adequately for aggressive riding as well as city commuting, so you get massive amounts of utility from it. So when you're dealing with unpaved surfaces and potholes and things of that nature, you're not getting a system shock through the entire chassis and eventually into the rider. It deals with inconsistencies in the road, but doesn't sacrifice performance at all. Overall, the suspension is quite good on this bike, and it's something I'm incredibly pleased with. So when it comes to brakes, the Bonneville Bobber is gonna be using a single 310mm rotor up front, and in the rear, we're gonna be seeing a 255mm rotor in the back. Now, if I do have one complaint about the Bonneville Bobber, it's that the feel at the lever is a bit firm, so it takes a good amount of effort to get your braking done. Keep in mind though, that this is a Bobber, so you need to ride with that in your mindset. However, this bike can be pushed, and with an engine like the Bonneville Bobbers, you're gonna get all the invitation to ride hard. So instead of relying almost exclusively on the front brake, you're also gonna have to start using the rear brake a little bit. Now, a quick fix might be to invest in a higher performance set of brake pads, which should get you a little bit more bite out of them. That said, if there is one aspect of the Bobber that did let me down lightly, it's in the front brakes. However, for the type of riding that you'd expect a Bobber to be doing, it's more than adequate for that. but an advanced rider that's really gonna be pushing his limits, he's actually gonna want more out of this front brake. So in terms of ergonomics, you're gonna be dealing with a riding position that's pretty much neutral. Now, these aren't forward controls, so you're sitting in a typical seating position. And at my height and inseam of 5'10" and 32 inches, I was pretty comfortable throughout the day. Now, the Bonneville Bobber seat is a bit thin, and you'd think naturally you're gonna get some discomfort throughout the day. Now, after spending 8 hours in the saddle, cruising from urban environments to the canyons, I was actually quite pleased. I was completely comfortable, and by the end of the day, was not sore at all. In terms of reach, you're gonna find a relatively neutral position, which is great. However, one key thing about the Bonneville Bobber is that it has an adjustable seat. So you can move it a few inches back if you are a taller rider and you want something a bit different, something that's a bit more cruiser oriented. And in this case, you can scoot it back up and go into a more bobber style stance, if you will. The Bonneville Bobber does exactly what it needs to do. It has all of the charm of the early 20th century bobbers. It takes that lineage and really runs with it and brings it into our era with all of the electronics and things that the modern consumer expects. So they expect reliability, power, performance, and of course looks. The amount of just fine detailing that they have into this thing really pulls the package together. So overall, we'd really like you to get out there and check this bike out for yourself, make your own educated opinion, and come back and let us know how it is.